This is a Professor, CBMD PhD, and today's Friday, August 7th, 2026. It is 5:24 and 34 seconds, a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and today's research, glyphosate and honeybees. So let's hop to it here. World's most used weed killer disrupts honeybee brains. Date August 6, 2026. Source Virginia Tech. Glyphosate was thought to be safe for honeybees because they lack the enzyme the chemical targets in weeds. However, researchers found that exposed bees foraged 13% less after only 3 days and showed changes in brain chemicals linked to behavior. Across a whole hive, that decline could reduce honeybee production, weaken pollination, and threaten long-term survival. Flowering plants and pollinator gardens, agricultural fields, and residential landscapes often grow alongside weeds that are controlled with herbicides. Honeybees regularly visit these same areas while collecting nectar and pollen, raising questions about what happens when they are exposed to weed killers during their daily foraging. The researchers in scientific investigative study found that glyphosate, a widely used herbicide, can interfere with honeybee foraging and may undermine the long-term stability of colonies. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in many weed killers used in farming and landscaping, making it a chemical that bees may frequently encounter while searching for food. It kills weeds by blocking an enzyme involved in photosynthesis. Honeybees do not have this enzyme, which is why glyphosate was long considered unlikely to harm them. The researchers investigated the impact of glyphosate, the most widely used pesticide in the world, on the behavior and brains of honeybees, important pollinators that might encounter the weed killer as they forage in the landscape. Glyphosate exposure is not usually fatal to honeybees, but the researchers suspected it might still cause less obvious problems. These sublethal effects can be compared to the way an over-the-counter antihistamine may relieve allergy symptoms while also causing drowsiness. The treatment works, but it can still produce an unintended effect. To investigate, the researchers created 2 artificial feeding stations. One contained glyphosate, while the other did not. Honeybees were trained to visit the feeders, and the team monitored their behavior over several days. After only 3 days, the bees exposed to glyphosate showed a 13% decline in foraging activity. They also displayed changes in brain chemistry that were not seen in the exposed bees. For a colony, a 13% reduction in foraging can be consequential. If the entire colony was exposed, this could lead to decreased pollination effectiveness and reduced honey production, risking colony survival and long-term stability. A reduction of that size may appear modest when measured in a single bee, but the effect could become much more serious across an entire colony. Fewer foraging trips can mean less food entering the hive, lower honey production, and reduced pollination of nearby plants. The researchers also examined brain chemicals involved in honeybee behavior, including amino acids and neurotransmitters. The researchers detected chemical changes associated with glyphosate exposure. Those shifts may help explain why exposed bees become less effective foragers. The findings suggest that glyphosate could disturb the neurochemical balance that supports normal behavior even when the exposure is not lethal. The results raise broader questions about how herbicides should be used in places where bees are likely to feed. Researchers say improved regulation, more careful application strategies, and additional research will be important for reducing unintended harm to pollinators. Understanding how weed killers affect beneficial insects like pollinators will help us make more strategic regulatory choices about when and where to use them for maximum benefit and minimum harm. The researchers say more work is needed to determine how glyphosate-based weed killers interact with honeybee biology and how those effects might play out under real-world conditions. Honeybees are among the planet's most important pollinators, while glyphosate is one of the world's most applied herbicides. Because the two are likely to come into contact so frequently, the consequences for bees may be more significant than previously understood. And this videography was created for educational purposes only. My code name is Will. I'm Professor Christopher Brunet, leader of research scientist, ufologist, psychic, computer technician, computer programmer, philanthropist, writer, mathematician, artist, photographer, film producer, chef, animal, and nature lover. My passion is world peace. Have a great day.